Imagine this. Your sister, your confidant, your lifelong partner in crime, suddenly drops a bombshell that shatters your reality. That's exactly what happened to me, Ivy Hartwell, when my sister, Lila Hartwell, banned me from her wedding. The reason? She claimed her fiancé, Theo Grayson, had feelings for me. Yes, me, the quirky, slightly awkward younger sister who'd rather binge true crime podcasts than flirt with anyone, let alone her dreamy groom-to-be. It was a punch to the gut, a betrayal wrapped in a lace veil. And it all unfolded just 3 weeks before her big day. This wasn't just a family spat, it was the beginning of a drama so wild it could rival a Netflix series. In this first chapter of my story, I'll take you through the moment I got that call, the sting of her words and the chaos that erupted in my heart. It was a rainy Tuesday evening and I was curled up with a cup of chamomile tea when my phone buzzed. Lila's name flashed on the screen and I assumed she wanted to gush about floral arrangements or her vintage gown. Instead, her voice was ice cold, trembling with accusation. Ivy, you can't come to the wedding. Theo, he's been acting strange, and I know it's because of you. He's got feelings for you, and I can't have you there ruining everything. My jaw dropped. I stammered. Lila, what are you talking about? I've barely spoken to him. But she wouldn't hear it. She hung up, leaving me staring at my phone, tea forgotten, as a storm of confusion raged inside me. Theo? The guy I'd met maybe 5 times, always with Lila glued to his side? It made no sense. The next few hours were a blur. I replayed every interaction I'd ever had with Theo. There was that time at Lila's birthday when he laughed at my dumb pun about pineapples, or the Christmas party where we debated pineapple on pizza. Teen yes, obviously. But feelings? Romantic ones? It was absurd. Yet, Lila's words gnawed at me. She'd always been the golden child, confident and radiant, while I was the wallflower who overthought everything. Was this jealousy? Insecurity? Or had I missed something massive? I couldn't sleep that night, haunted by the idea that my sister saw me as a threat. Little did I know this was just the spark that would ignite a wildfire in our family. By morning, I was a mess of emotions. Anger, hurt, disbelief. I wanted to call her back, demand answers, but pride held me back. Instead, I scrolled through old photos of us, sisters against the world, and wondered how we'd gotten here. The wedding ban wasn't just about missing her day. It felt like losing her entirely. And Theo, poor Theo, was caught in the crossfire of her paranoia. Or was he? That's when the doubts crept in. What if he did say something to her? What if this wasn't all in Lila's head? I had no idea that the real twist was yet to come, one that would flip this story upside down and leave me questioning everything I thought I knew about love, loyalty, and family. This is where my journey begins, a tale of heartbreak and unexpected turns that'll keep you hooked. Stick with me as we dive deeper into this mess in the next part, where Theo's reaction to Lila's accusations changes the game entirely. If you're as stunned as I was, drop your thoughts below and let's unravel this drama together. So, there I was, Ivy Hartwell, still reeling from my sister Lila's bombshell. She'd banned me from her wedding, convinced her fiancé, Theo Grayson, had feelings for me. It was a gut-wrenching accusation that left me questioning my reality, my relationship with Lila, and even my own oblivious nature. If I thought that was the peak of this soap opera-level drama though, I was in for a rude awakening. In this second chapter of my wild story, everything flips upside down when Theo himself steps into the chaos, dropping a confession so raw and unexpected it's like a plot twist you'd scream at in a movie theater. Buckle up, because this is where the real roller coaster begins. It all went down 2 days after Lila's call. I'd spent those 48 hours in a haze, oscillating between fury and heartbreak. I hadn't reached out to her, too stubborn to beg for an explanation, but the silence was killing me. Then, out of nowhere, my doorbell rang. I shuffled to the door in my ratty pajamas, expecting a delivery, only to find Theo standing there, looking like he hadn't slept in days. His dark hair was a mess, his usually bright eyes shadowed with guilt. "Ivy, we need to talk," he said, voice low and urgent. My stomach dropped. This wasn't the polished Theo I knew from Lila's Instagram perfect couple pics. This was a man on the edge. I let him in, half dreading what was coming. He paced my tiny living room, running his hands through his hair, before finally blurting it out. "Lila's right. I have feelings for you, but it's not what you think, and it's tearing me apart." My brain short-circuited. I stared at him, mouth open, as he kept going. "It's not some big romantic crush. It's... I don't know, Ivy. You're real. You're funny. You don't care about impressing anyone, and being around you feels easy. With Lila, it's always a performance. I didn't realize how much that weighed on me until I started comparing it to you." I felt like I'd been slapped. Comparing me to Lila? My sister? His fiancé? I managed to croak out, "Theo, what are you saying? You're marrying her in 3 weeks." He stopped pacing, locking eyes with me. "Not anymore. I called it off this morning. I can't marry her, Ivy. Not when I'm this confused. Not when she's so paranoid she'd ban her own sister over something I never even admitted to her." My head spun. He'd called off the wedding? Because of me? Or because of Lila's meltdown? I didn't know whether to feel flattered, horrified, or just plain guilty. Probably all three. She didn't make it up though. he added quietly. She saw me looking at you at her birthday party. She asked me about it, and I dodged the question. That's when she lost it. The room felt too small, the air too thick. I sank onto my couch, trying to process this. Theo wasn't confessing some grand love story. He was admitting to a crack in his perfect life with Lila, a crack I'd somehow widened without even trying. Theo, I don't feel that way about you, I said, my voice shaky but firm. You're Lila's. You've always been Lila's. He nodded, like he'd expected that. I know. I'm not asking you to. I just couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. Not with her, not with myself. And then he dropped the final blow. She thinks I'm here right now begging you to run away with me. She's wrong, but she's not entirely crazy. I had to see you to figure this out. I wanted to scream. At him, at Lila, at the universe for tangling us up like this. Instead, I asked, what happens now? He shrugged, defeated. I don't know. I'm moving out of our place tonight. She's a wreck, Ivy. She hates me and she probably hates you more. I'm sorry. Sorry didn't even begin to cover it. He left shortly after, and I sat there staring at the door, feeling like I'd just starred in a tragedy I never auditioned for. My sister's wedding was off, her fiancé was a mess, and somehow, I was the unintentional villain in this story. The guilt hit hard. Had I done something to lead Theo on? Was my dumb pineapple pun that charming? No, this wasn't on me. This was Lila's insecurity and Theo's cowardice colliding in the worst possible way. But knowing that didn't erase the ache of losing my sister, or the surreal twist of being the other woman without ever wanting the role. As I sat there, phone buzzing with missed calls from her mom, Lila must have told her, I realized this was far from over. Theo's confession had lit a match, and the fire was spreading fast. That's where I'll leave you for now, right on the edge of this emotional cliffhanger. In the next part, we'll dive into Lila's reaction to the breakup and how it pulls our whole family into the chaos. If Theo's words shocked you as much as they did me, let me know in the comments. I need to know I'm not alone in this madness. Stick around for more. It only gets crazier from here. At this point in my saga, Ivy Hartwell, was still reeling from Theo Grayson's bombshell confession. He'd admitted to having feelings for me, not the grand romantic kind, but enough to call off his wedding to my sister Lila Hartwell. My world was already upside down, but if I thought Theo's exit was the climax, I was sorely mistaken. In this third chapter, Lila's reaction to the breakup explodes like a hurricane, dragging our entire family into a vortex of accusations, tears, and shattered bonds. This isn't just a sisterly spat anymore, it's a full-on war, and I'm caught in the crossfire. It started with a text from Lila the morning after Theo's visit. I'd barely slept, haunted by his words and the guilt gnawing at me, when my phone lit up with her name. The message was short but venomous. You win, Ivy. He's yours. Hope you're happy destroying my life. My heart sank. I typed a frantic reply. Layla, I didn't do anything. He came to me, I swear. But it bounced back, undelivered. She blocked me. Panic set in. I called our mom, desperate for a lifeline, only to hear her voice trembling on the other end. Ivy, what's going on? Layla's here sobbing, saying Theo left her because of you. Please tell me this isn't true. I tried to explain, but the line went dead. Mom hung up on me too. By noon, the family group chat was a battlefield. Lila had posted a scathing rant. To everyone wondering why the wedding's off, ask Ivy. She's been after Theo this whole time, and I was too blind to see it. My cousins chimed in, some defending me, others demanding answers. My Uncle Jack, always the peacemaker, tried to calm things down, but Lila fired back. Don't defend her, she's a snake. I felt sick. This wasn't my sister anymore. This was a stranger wielding her pain like a weapon. I stayed silent in the chat, too stunned to fight back. But the damage was done. The Hartwell family, once tight-knit, was fracturing, and I was the fault line. Then came the call from Dad. He's the stoic type, rarely rattled, but his voice was heavy with disappointment. Ivy, Lila says you've been flirting with Theo behind her back. She's got pictures, screenshots, something. I don't know what to believe, but you need to fix this. Pictures? Screenshots? My mind raced. I hadn't flirted with Theo, not once. But doubt crept in. Had Lila twisted some innocent moment into evidence? I begged Dad to hear me out, recounting Theo's visit, his confusion, my rejection. He sighed. I believe you, kid, but Lila's too far gone. She's convinced you're the enemy. Give her time. Time? My sister had just torched our relationship in front of everyone we loved. Time felt like a luxury I didn't have. That evening I got an email from Lila. No subject, just a wall of text that hit like a punch. You've always been jealous of me, Ivy. I should have known you'd pull something like this. Theo told me everything, how you've been throwing yourself at him. Enjoy your victory, because you've lost a sister. I stared at the screen, tears blurring the words. She was lying, or Theo was, or both. I hadn't thrown myself at anyone, but the venom in her message, the absolute certainty, broke something in me. I replied, pouring out my truth. Lila, I love you. I didn't want this. Theo came to me, I turned him away. Please, let's talk. Sent. No response, just silence. The fallout spread fast. Friends picked sides, Mom stopped answering my calls, and Dad texted me to lay low while he tried to calm Lila down. I felt like a pariah, exiled from my own family over a lie I couldn't disprove. Worse, I kept replaying Theo's words. She saw me looking at you. Had I missed some sign? Was I naive to think this was all on them? The questions ate at me, but one thing was clear. Lila's wrath wasn't just about Theo. This was years of unspoken resentment erupting, and I was her scapegoat. By nightfall, I was alone in my apartment, scrolling through old photos of me and Lila, laughing at beach trips and holiday dinners. That girl was gone, replaced by someone who'd rather burn our bond than face her own insecurities. I didn't know how to fight this, or if I even could. But as I sat there, a spark of defiance flickered. I wasn't the villain here. I wouldn't let her rewrite my story. The question was, how do I prove it when she's got the whole family in her corner? That's where this chapter ends, with me teetering between despair and determination. In the next part, I'll take you into my risky plan to confront Lila and uncover the truth behind her evidence. If this family implosion has you hooked, drop your thoughts below. Have you ever faced a betrayal this deep? Let's talk about it, because I'm barely holding it together over here. Here I was, Ivy Hartwell, drowning in the wreckage of my family after Lila Hartwell's accusations turned me into public enemy number one. She'd convinced everyone, from our parents to our cousins, that I'd sabotaged her wedding by stealing Theo Grayson's heart. His confession had fueled her fire, and her venomous email claiming I'd thrown myself at him was the last straw. In this fourth chapter, I stopped running from the chaos and take a stand, staging a confrontation with Lila that unearths secrets, tears open old wounds, and shifts the ground beneath us both. This isn't just a fight for my name, it's a battle for the truth, and it's messier than I ever imagined. I spent days stewing after her email, torn between grief and rage. Lila had blocked me, Mom was icing me out, and even Dad's lay-low advice felt like a cop-out. I couldn't keep hiding, letting her paint me as the homewrecker. So, I made a plan, show up at her place unannounced. Risky? Yes. Insane? Probably. But I needed her to look me in the eye and say it all again. I grabbed my keys, heart pounding, and drove to the apartment she'd shared with Theo, the one he'd moved out of. It was Saturday afternoon, gray clouds looming like a bad omen, when I knocked on her door. She opened it, and I barely recognized her. Lila, always polished and poised, looked wrecked. Puffy eyes, messy bun, a wine glass dangling in her hand. "What the hell are you doing here?" she snapped, blocking the doorway. I took a deep breath. "We're talking, Lila. Now. You don't get to ruin my life and then shut me out." Her glare could have melted steel, but she stepped aside, muttering, "Fine. Say what you want and get out." The apartment was a disaster, boxes half-packed, wedding magazines strewn across the floor. It hit me then. She was unraveling, and part of me ached for her even as I braced for war. I cut to the chase. "Lila, I didn't chase Theo. He came to me, confused, and I told him no. Why can't you believe me?" She laughed, a bitter, jagged sound. "Oh, please, Ivy. I saw it. The way he looked at you, the way you smiled back, and then these." She grabbed her phone, shoving it in my face. Photos, me and Theo at her birthday, laughing over that stupid pineapple pun, a blurry shot from Christmas, him handing me a drink. "You think I'm blind?" He admitted it after I showed him these. My stomach twisted. They were innocent moments, twisted into something sordid by her paranoia. "Lila, that's nothing. We were just talking." She wasn't done. "And this," she said, pulling up a text thread between her and Theo. One message from him, dated a week before the breakup, read, "Ivy's different. She gets me in a way you don't." My breath caught. He never said that to me, but there it was, in black and white, ammo for Lila's war. "He told me you've been flirting for months," she spat. "He's a liar then." I shot back. "I never flirted, Lila. Never." She faltered, just for a second, doubt flickering in her eyes. Then her walls went back up. "You're the liar. You've always wanted what I had." That stung. Years of feeling like the lesser Hartwell sister, the one who didn't shine as bright, flooded back. "Is that what this is?" I asked, voice breaking. "You think I'm jealous? Lila, I've spent my life cheering you on." She froze, wine glass trembling in her hand. For the first time, she didn't have a comeback. I pressed on. "Theo's confused. Yeah, but I didn't cause this. You did, by pushing him away, by pushing me away. Look at us. We're sisters, and you're throwing it all out over a guy who couldn't even fight for you." Silence stretched between us, thick and heavy. Then she whispered, "He didn't fight for me. It wasn't about me anymore. It was about her fear of not being enough." Tears welled in her eyes, and mine followed. "I didn't take him, Lila," I said softly. "I wouldn't." She sank onto the couch, staring at the floor. "I saw those pictures, that text, and I just lost it. I thought you'd finally won." Won? This wasn't a competition, but to her, maybe it always had been. "I'm not your rival," I said. "I'm your sister." We sat there, the fight draining out of us, replaced by a fragile, painful stillness. She didn't apologize, not outright, but she didn't kick me out either. It wasn't reconciliation, not yet, but it was a crack in the wall she built. As I left, I felt lighter, like I'd reclaimed a piece of myself. But questions lingered. What had Theo really said? And could Lila and I ever rebuild what we'd lost? That's where this chapter closes, with a bittersweet glimmer of hope amid the wreckage. In the final part, I'll dive into the aftermath, Theo's last move, and whether my sister and I can salvage our bond. If this showdown hit you in the feels, let me know below. Have you ever had to confront someone you love like this? Share your stories, because I'm still processing this one. Here we are, at the end of this whirlwind that turned my life upside down. I'm Ivy Hartwell, and after Lila Hartwell banned me from her wedding, blaming me for Theo Grayson's feelings, I've faced heartbreak, betrayal, and a confrontation that stripped us bare. Theo called off the wedding, Lila unleashed her fury, and our family fractured. In this final chapter, the dust settles, secrets unravel, and I find out if there's any hope left for me and my sister. It's a roller coaster of closure, unexpected twists, and a chance to heal. So let's dive into the reckoning that changed everything. A week after our showdown, I was still processing the fragile truce with Lila. We hadn't spoken since I left her apartment, but the silence felt different, less hostile. Then, out of the blue, Theo texted me. "Can we meet? I owe you the truth." My gut screamed no, but curiosity won. We met at a quiet coffee shop and he looked worse than ever, hollowed out by guilt. "Ivy, I messed up," he started, barely meeting my eyes. "I let Lila think you were the problem when it was me all along." My pulse quickened. "What do you mean?" He sighed, spilling it all. "That text she showed you? I wrote it, but not because you flirted. I was venting to myself, never sent it to anyone. Lila found it in my notes app and flipped." I stared at him, piecing it together. "So she built this whole story from one unsent rant?" He nodded. "I didn't stop her. I was too scared to admit I'd been doubting us for months. You were just there, easy to blame." Anger flared in me. "You let her hate me, Theo. You let my family turn on me." He winced. "I know, I'm leaving town, Ivy. I can't fix this, but I told Lila the truth yesterday, all of it." He stood, leaving me with that bombshell and a cold latte. Theo was gone, but his words lingered, a key to unlocking this mess. That night, Lila called. Her voice was small, hesitant. "Ivy, Theo came by. He showed me his phone, the notes, everything. You didn't do anything." Relief washed over me, but I stayed guarded. "I told you that, Lila. Why'd it take him leaving for you to believe me?" She choked back a sob. "I was so scared of losing him, I lost myself. I saw you as the threat because you're enough without trying, and I've never felt that." Her honesty hit hard. All this time, her accusations weren't just about Theo. They were about her own insecurities, ones I'd never seen behind her perfect facade. We talked for hours, peeling back years of unspoken tension. She admitted she'd envied my freedom, my ease, while I confessed I'd always felt overshadowed by her light. It wasn't pretty, but it was real. "I'm sorry, Ivy," she said finally. "I should have trusted you." I swallowed tears. "I'm sorry too for not seeing how much you were hurting." It wasn't a full reset, but it was a start. She asked me to come over the next day, just us, no wedding talk, no Theo. I agreed, hopeful but cautious. The family fallout took longer to mend. Mom called, apologetic, admitting she'd been too quick to take Lila's side. Dad grumbled about all this damn drama, but hugged me tighter next time I saw him. The group chat quieted, cousins texting me privately to say they'd missed me. It wasn't perfect. Trust takes time. But piece by piece, the Hartwells stitched ourselves back together. Lila even started therapy, something she'd never considered before, and I cheered her on, feeling lighter than I had in months. As for me, I found strength I didn't know I had. This mess forced me to stand up, to fight for my truth, and it showed me who I am beyond Lila's shadow. Theo's departure closed a chapter, but it opened something else, a bond with my sister that's rawer, truer than before. We're not the picture-perfect duo from old photos yet, but we're talking, laughing, rebuilding. One day, she even joked, "Maybe I'll ban you for my next wedding too, just to keep things spicy." I laughed, and it felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. That's where my story ends. Not with a fairy tale bow, but with messy, beautiful hope. Lila and I are works in progress, and I'm okay with that. If this journey of betrayal, truth, and redemption gripped you, let me know below. Have you ever lost someone you love, only to find them again in a new way? Share your thoughts, because this ride taught me one thing. Even in the chaos, there's a chance to start over. Thanks for sticking with me through it all. See you in the next story.